It started with a diary, bound in black leather, sealed with an iron lock. There was no name, no date, but inside, each page described a murder before it happened. The strangest part, every entry was written in the victim's own handwriting. Detective Alan Reeves thought it was some kind of sick prank. Until one morning, he opened the next page and saw his own name. The city was asleep under a drizzle of late-night rain. Streetlights flickered and sirens echoed somewhere far in the distance. Detective Alan Reeves sat in his dim office, the hum of an old ceiling fan whirring overhead. Piles of unsolved case files surrounded him like ghosts that refused to rest. Then the call came. "Detective Reeves, we found something strange in the latest case. You'd better see this." The victim was Laura Kent, a 29-year-old school teacher, found dead in her apartment. But this wasn't a robbery. There was no forced entry. Nothing was stolen. On her nightstand was a black diary, locked tight, but one page had been torn out and left on her pillow. Written in perfect handwriting were the words, "I will die tonight. I hear the footsteps again. They always stop right outside my door." It was signed, Laura Kent. Alan's brow tightened. Did she write this before she died? The officer hesitated. Forensics says, the ink's only an hour old. That meant it was written after her death. Alan didn't say it out loud, but the thought froze his spine. Who writes from beyond the grave? 2 days later, another case. Different part of the city, different victim, same diary. This time it was found sitting neatly on the victim's kitchen counter. The page read, "The clock stops at 3:12. The sound comes from the vent. I see his reflection." The name signed below was Derek Moore, but when Alan flipped to the next page, he saw something new. A faint name scrawled at the bottom of the upcoming entry. It was his own handwriting. Detective Alan Reeves. Alan's throat went dry. He had never seen this book before, never touched it. But the handwriting, it was undeniably his. Alan took the diary home and locked it in his desk. But at midnight, something woke him. The faint scratching of a pen. He turned on the lamp. The diary was open. A pen sat on top of it, moving, slowly. Writing. No hand held it. Alan stepped closer. The pen stopped. The page was half finished with words forming as if alive. He's watching himself now. Alan slammed the book shut, his pulse thundering in his ears. He stuffed it into a drawer, locked it, and tried to breathe. But when he opened the drawer again, it was empty. The diary was gone. The next morning, he got another call. Another murder, same pattern. This time, a journalist named Hannah Doyle. And there, on her desk, the diary had returned. Alan picked it up with shaking hands. Inside was a new page, describing Hannah's death in perfect detail. But the last line was a note addressed to him. "You shouldn't have opened it." Alan's chest tightened. Who's doing this? Forensics ran every test. Fingerprints, ink analysis, even carbon dating. The result? The handwriting matches each victim perfectly. Every single one. As if the victims predicted their own deaths, then died exactly as written. Alan couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard the scratch of that pen. Finally, he decided to destroy it. He placed the diary in a metal evidence box, locked it, and drove out to the old city incinerator. But when he opened the box, it was gone again. Only a single torn page remained. It read, "You can't burn what remembers you." Then his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Page 42. Alan flipped open his notes. His copy of the diary photos stopped at page 41. There was no page 42, but his printer across the room suddenly turned on by itself. One page slid out. His own handwriting. Alan Reeves, 4 a.m. office window. He checked the clock. 3:58 a.m. He turned toward the window. Outside, he saw a reflection, but it wasn't his. It was someone else. Then, darkness. Alan woke up in the hospital. His colleagues said they found him unconscious in his office, glass shattered around him. No intruder, no signs of an attack. On his bedside table was the diary, returned again. It lay open to a fresh entry. He woke up, but he won't remember the window. Alan snapped the diary shut, but his name appeared again, on the next page. Entry continues tomorrow. He stared at the line, hands trembling. The words shimmered faintly, like wet ink still drying. He tore the page out and burned it in a metal tray. The smoke rose, thin and gray, but when he looked back, a new page had appeared. The same words. Entry continues tomorrow. Desperate for answers, Alan went to the city archives. He traced the earliest record of the diary to a missing persons case from 1952. A woman named Margaret Vale had reported her husband missing. Police found his study filled with pages describing deaths, each one occurring days later, exactly as written. Margaret's last statement was, "He said the diary writes what memory forgets." Alan found the final note from the 1952 investigation, a photograph of the same black diary, the same lock, the same impossible handwriting. A note attached read, "Destroyed in evidence fire, 1953," except it clearly wasn't. Back home, Alan decided to test the diary himself. He wrote one line on a blank page inside it. "Nothing will happen." Then he locked it away and waited. Hours passed. The city went quiet. At 3:00 a.m., the pen moved again, scribbling fast. Alan grabbed it, but when he looked, his own writing had changed. It now read, "Something did happen." The ink twisted beneath the words, rearranging into shapes, like mirrored letters. Alan held the page up to the light. In the reflection, a message appeared. "Check the mirror." He turned slowly. In the mirror behind him, a shadow moved, but not in the room, in the reflection. The next morning, Alan's colleagues couldn't reach him. His phone rang endlessly. When they arrived at his apartment, the door was unlocked. Everything was untouched, except his desk. On it lay the diary, closed, and beside it, Alan's badge. The final entry inside read, "He followed the reflection. Now he writes with us." The writing matched Alan's perfectly. Forensics confirmed it was his. But Alan Reeves was never found. No struggle, no evidence. He was just gone. And the diary? It disappeared from the evidence room 2 days later. 3 months passed. A new detective, Rachel Monroe, took over Alan's cold cases. One morning, she found a plain brown envelope on her desk. No return address. Inside was the black diary. Attached was a note. "Do not open unless you're ready to remember." Rachel hesitated, then turned the key. Inside the first entry. Case reopened. Detective Rachel Monroe, 7:03 a.m. She froze. That was the exact time on her wristwatch. A drop of ink slid across the page, forming one more line. The story continues. Rachel looked up. The office window reflected her face, and behind her, faintly, another silhouette. They say the diary never stops. It simply passes on to whoever tries to explain it. Each time it's opened, it remembers one more name. So if you ever find a locked black journal, don't try to read it, because once you open it, it already knows yours. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries like this one. We'll see you in the next video.